I thought I'd give everybody a little look around my airgun shop. Some people ask me about the junk that I have in here, and it's packed. I couldn't even begin to tell you what all is in here. I have a pretty fair selection of CO2 spring piston pistols, and there's even a couple down there somewhere under all this junk. All stuff that I've collected over the years. There's a Benjamin Marauder Gen 1 stock, Maximus stock, a couple of paintball guns in the bag, my handy dandy compressor, air tank, water bucket, some spare parts in there. That's a really nice left-handed Boyd stock, an older model with a high comb. A little bit of junk I work on them with, nothing fancy. A lot of mounts, some old scopes, tools. Spare O-rings, a spring kit. Those are all regulators, for paintball type regulators for some of the stuff that I fool with. And we got a pretty fair selection of pellets from 35 caliber down to 177 caliber. This thing is completely full of just spare parts for different stuff that I've worked on and made. That is my field target pistol. That used to be a Benjamin Maximus, and this is one I made almost identical for my son, but we stuck with the modified factory stock. I think that's about it for that junk. A couple of spare scopes laying around. This one is a really nice scope. No name. That's all it says on it anywhere. Doesn't even say made in China. But that's a 8-32, and it ranges really well. That's my first scope I ever had for shooting field target. Picked that up at a flea market, really cheap, and it actually worked really well for field target in the US. At 12 power. That's when I shot. It wasn't 16 power, it was 12 power. Got some slugs there I still need to try out. I haven't tried those yet. And what else? This is where I do a couple of videos for different junk. Somebody got a question about something, I try to explain it, and this is where I do it at. Had to get a second bin for spare parts and such. And I've got a bow. Can't shoot it, but I've got one. And we got a bunch of older air guns over here. And that second one right there, that's a Daisy Model 120. I've had that since 1983, I think. And I worked hard shoveling snow, mowing lawns, and saved my money up to give $80 for that. That's my first air rifle. And I've since then picked up plenty of other ones. That is my little PCP converted air javelin. And one of these dual caliber Beemans. I forget what model that is, but one of the dual caliber Beemans. A couple of airsoft guns. Those things are a blast. I cannot believe how much fun I can have with those old things. And I don't even remember what that thing is. Minuteman, maybe? I can't remember what the name of that old BB gun is. A couple of Gamos. We got the two identical 177 Swarm Maxims, the lower power 177. They shoot really great. I've done a little bit of trigger work to one of them. Still got to do the other one. That one you can't see all that well, but that is a Gamo Dynamax. That is a PCP. Got the I can't think of that name right now. That's a buck rail suppressor on it. Works really well. Very affordable. Anyway, that's a multi-shot. You flip this lever down right here to pop the bolt back and push the bolt forward manually. And there's a magazine in there that indexes and loads a pellet. But none of this cocks the gun. This is kind of unique. None of that cocks the gun. Right there. You push that thing down and let it back up, and that cocks the gun. And that is the factory Gammo scope that came with it. And a few more old Crosman air pistols, and I think that's a cap gun, and lots of other stuff in here. Some PCP bottles that for, you know, little builds that I do now and then. If any of you like those little snub nose revolvers that take the little shells that look realistic, that's a few of these. All these guns that are in this rack right here and this rack down here, all those Beeman P17s, the Crosman 1322s and 1377s, they're there. And a couple of these down here. Nope, just these up here. I got these at a flea market, and all these were in a tote, and they were marked $5 each. And they're old Amazon returns, and most of them were still in the clamshell. They've been opened up and put back in, but most of these don't have a mark on them. I tested, every one of them shoots. This one here is really fun. If you've never seen one of these kind of things before, it is a that one doesn't have a magazine in it. It is a full auto BB pistol. I think that thing holds like 19 rounds, and it'll fire them just as fast as you can pull the trigger single shot, or you can flip the lever. Where is the lever? I forget where it's at. Haven't shot this thing in I don't know how long. But this is a select fire thing. Anyway, you can change this thing from full auto to single shot. But on full auto, it'll empty the magazine out instantly. It's unreal how fast it shoots. You got these. These were $5 a piece, brand new, not a mark on them anywhere. And I've tested all of them. They all shoot, and I can't believe what they get for a 2240 nowadays. When I was buying them, they were like $39. I think they're considerably more than that now. All the Beeman P17s shoot. That one's starting to get some marks on it. Here's some spots on it. I better wipe that down. Anyway, on to the next rack. Oh, my night vision. I got 2 night vision setups that work really good for just a little cheap. I think they're like 100 or 150 bucks. I can't remember now. But those are really cheap and do really well. And I think that's a 1720 up there, and a 1322 back there with a shoulder stock on it. I forgot to show you this one. This is a 1720 that's been bottled. That thing shoots really well. It's been bottled and barreled. That thing shoots really well. I've got to get that tuned pretty soon. Anyway, some old Crosman stuff. If you've not seen one of these before, this is a Crosman Trapmaster 1100. It is a CO2 powered shotgun. The little toggle up here on top of it gives it away, but it looks just like a model 1100 trap gun. And it takes little shot shells, CO2 powered, dual CO2, and they are a blast to shoot. I've never taken either one of those out and not come back with a big smile on my face the whole time I shot it. Those are the Crosman 622 Pell clip repeaters. So it's a 6-shot rotary magazine, pump action CO2 in a 22 caliber. Those are really fun to shoot also. And those are lever action model 99s. Got 2 of those. You just put a CO2 right in there and tighten it down, and it has a internal inline magazine. When you cock the lever, it loads a pellet and shoots. A Walther lever action that is the model, I guess. Literally called a Walther lever action. Anyway, that one's a dual CO2, and they go in the stock down here. And there's not the 88 gram, that's the little 12 gram. And there's two of them that go in there. And it's odd because if I remember right, they fit upright. They actually stand up in that stock. A whole apparatus comes out of the bottom of it, and you load the CO2s in it and put it back in the gun. And there's two Walther Dominator 1250s, one in 177, one in 22. They have the factory 8 to 32 Walther scopes on them, and the bipods that came just like it is. And if you bought one of those way back when, it would have come in its own Walther fitted case. I think that thing might even say Walther on top somewhere. I can't remember. This was the 177. Anyway. And that's my Walther Rotec 177 caliber. I'm waiting on an adapter from Best Fittings so I can put a carbon fiber bottle on it. It's got a neat little steel bottle on it. That thing shoots incredible. I mean, it's unreal. It's something like, I think it's somewhere around 20 foot-pounds. And it's also threaded, and I bought a buck rail, the same buck rail suppressor, and put on that. That makes a big difference. And moving on, we have three Air Venturi Avengers, 177, 22, and 25 caliber. And I think this one is a 25. Yeah, that one has never been aired up or fired. I took it out of the box and put it in the rack. And this one's the 177. I shot that. It was the first one I got. I shot that a little bit, and it's a pretty good shooter. This one, you see right there, it says 25 caliber, but I keep a tag on it that says 22 caliber. That's because I have robbed the barrel and the bolt out of this 25 caliber to put inside my Origin, which is a bottled regulated Origin. And this one is 25 caliber now, and puts out right around 70 foot-pounds with a 43.2 grain pellet. So back over here, this is I think this was from Flying Dragon. I can't remember who sold this thing. I picked it up at a gun show. It is a Sentry. Exizzo, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Sentry. The stocks look funny on them, but you would not believe how good this gun shoots, how accurate this gun shoots. The shot cycle is really good for, you know, not an expensive gun. It is suppressed, and takes these magazines. I'll tell you more about that in just a second, but that funny looking little magazine right there is the exact same one as a different magazine for a different gun. So I'm sure they're made in the same place. Anyway, that thing gets upwards of 60 shots on a fill, and it's not regulated, and it shoots great with hardly any point of impact change. And I had to pick up one of these Daisy 953s, the Avanti line, I guess, 953. That thing shoots really good. I didn't get it to put a scope on. I got it for the open sights, but the front sight was broke when I got it, so there it is. Some more regulated PCP bottles for different junk that I like to mess with. I've done a little video on this and put it on my YouTube channel about sighting in a Benjamin Trail nitro piston. This one's in 177. And this thing has, I can't remember what it is, like a 4-ounce trigger. So I had to tune that one back up. I've done a little bit too much work on that. That's almost impossible to shoot at 4 ounces. But anyway, that one shoots really good at 100 yards. You would not believe how good that gun shoots at 100 yards. This one is my Rapid Air Weapon TM1000. And I shoot field target in this open class field target. Yeah, I'm a cheater. I use a high power and a harness. That's what open class is. That's my lowly Aeon 10-40 by 56 scope that I've had for a while now. That's a target dot model. Everybody teases me about getting a better scope, and anyway, that one works really well for me. I've won more than my share of matches with it, so I'm going to keep it. And this one is our custom Gen 1 Marauder, 4500 PSI, steel bottle, regulated, and the same Aeon scope, large 6-inch side wheel, and not much is left that is Benjamin on this one. It has a Lothar Walther polygonal barrel in it, and the gun shoots absolutely fabulous. If you're wondering what this crazy stuff is, Rich Dudek machined the barrel for me to drop in, and he made me this neat little muzzle brake that I ruined while I was trying to thread the barrel and drill and tap this to thread onto it. This barrel is tensioned now. This doesn't thread into the shroud anymore. This threads onto the barrel and pushes on the shroud, and that in turn pulls on the barrel, making it tensioned. And this thing is rigid. You know, there's no barrel bands or no 3D printed crap on it. This is a really rigid barrel, and one day I'm gonna fix those marks I put on it in the lathe, get that black again. And anyway, that is a newer Boyd stock that has the lower comb. I wish they would have kept making them like they did the first ones. The comb was a lot higher. They were a lot nicer and more comfortable to shoot. And my old Gen 1 Marauder that I started shooting field target with. Don't ask me who made the stock. I have no idea. It was on this Marauder, what I bought at a gun auction. And as soon as I saw it, I hit the buy now. Didn't ask any questions, and just bought it and waited for it to show up. But that is a really nice thumb hole stock for that old Gen 1 Marauder. I'll give you a little look at this side. That is comfortable to shoot and field target. I had the rail put on the stock, and where is it at? This is the riser that goes on it. That's great when you have to shoot some really elevated shots. You really need to have that adjustability, you know. I do anyway. And just another old Gen 1 Marauder. That is custom. When I got this gun, it didn't come with this stock, it came with that stock, but it had a little custom ring put on it instead of a barrel band. And that was the trigger guard right there. That's custom. That's different. That's not exactly like any of the Marauders I've got. And you can't really tell, but that is a setback trigger out of a Gen 1 Marauder. And that trigger, that whole trigger group was in this gun. So there's a lot of custom work went on with that gun, and that thing shot really, really well too. Then I picked up this antique Gen 1 25 caliber. I forget who made that moderator for it. But anyway, the moderator works really good. It's really tames the gun down a lot. And there's nothing special. It's just somebody's old wore out hunting gun that I found for sale. Got a few scuffs and nicks and dings on it. And I thought the stock was broke when I got it. It's not, it's just scratched. But that's a 25 caliber, and I got it cranked up. I forget what power it's putting out, but I've got it cranked up pretty good. 42 or 3 or something. It's all stock. I gotta get that glued back on the bottom of that. So that brings me to my 22 caliber Armada. I want you to see if you notice something about this gun. Have you ever seen that center point scope before? Let's see if I can get it turned over here. No. So there's a 32 power center point side focus. And that was on this Antique Gen 1. I was told that you could order this gun with that scope combo on it. That is not the same animal as those 16 power or whatever scopes that they bundled with Bulldogs and Marauders, you know, years ago. That is a way different animal. That thing range finds really good. It's got really clear glass in it. The clicks are really nice and compared to some of the other ones I've got. Anyway, the Armada shoots really well, and you'll know that's not the factory butt stock for it. That butt stock is a hair pulling SOB if you got any whiskers. So I took the Armada stock and put it on this gun and put this stock on the Armada. And then I've got this Bulldog that I got. Really reasonable. I couldn't pass it up. So I got this Bulldog, and it's got one of the center points from Walmart on it. And it shoots really good. That scope's plenty good enough for this rifle. No need to have a $3,500 scope on a hunting gun. This thing sees everything I want to see at 100 yards and then some. And this will get, it's all stock, and this will get somewhere in the ballpark of 215 foot-pounds. And it'll do over 200 pounds for 3 shots, and then it drops just a little under 200. And that's with a 190 grain Air Venturi slug. And there's a Benjamin Maximus Euro. I put me a Hats and Air stripper on it. And there's nothing fancy about it except for this is 12 foot-pounds from the factory. I don't know what all they've done to it, but it shoots really good. It's a lot easier to cock than the other one, so I'm assuming it's got a different hammer spring in it or a shorter one or something. They've done something to it. All I've done to this gun was crazy about putting Gen 1 Marauder triggers and Challenger trigger guards on them. It's got a really nice light trigger on it. It's crisp. It changes the entire gun to have that trigger in your Discoveries or Maximus. It's great. And this is a Gamo Stützen underlever. And what's cool about this is that handle extends out for more leverage and then drops back down so it fits up into the stock. Anyway, if you've never shot a Stützen before, I always thought that they looked funny, but this thing shoots really well. I can shoot it pretty good with open sights or the little bug buster scope that I put on it, the little 3-12 side focus bug buster. And the gun shoots really well. It does not have a great trigger in it. You have to really use some trigger control to get that thing to shoot well, but it will shoot well. And my RWS 34 in 22 caliber that I shoot open sights with. I've made some really good shots with this thing, and it will shoot a wad cutter really well. This is probably one of my favorite ones. This is a Sterling HR 83 underlever. And the 83 had checkering on it and a little bit fancier stock. The camera doesn't do it justice. You cannot see that bluing that's on this gun, but that is just incredible. Nobody has done bluing on any gun any better than what this one is. It doesn't matter if it's an HW or, a Weatherby. Nobody's done it any better than this gun. This thing is absolutely beautiful. Doesn't have a good trigger on it. Will shoot. Has a really deep pistol grip. And pretty high cone for, a sporter style stock. It's pretty high. One of the cool things about this one versus the different underlevers is the bolt and the breech. See it, round cutaway. That's how long the bolt is. It goes from all the way up here to all the way down here. It's spring loaded, so as soon as you lift it up, it slides back all by itself. And that little shiny spot in the middle, right there, that's a transfer port. That's something you don't usually see in an underlever. The barrel goes all the way through and has a transfer port. So the bolt pushes the pellet all the way up there past the transfer port. These were really neat. I don't think they had much success when they were new, because that was a lot of work for what was supposed to have been a slightly budget gun, and that thing came out to be sort of expensive for the time, so I don't know what happened to them exactly. And this one is my little R7, my little Beeman R7. Same thing as an HW30. I was told by a guy years ago that the main difference when they said Beeman on them is that they had just a little bit fancier stock, but that you could also get an HW with a deluxe stock or something like that. So this one I'm trying to shoot really long range. It's only 7.2 foot-pounds. It has been tuned, professionally tuned at Airgun Works. You see I got the peep sight on it with a really tall BKL riser and a globe front sight on it with a round insert in it. And this one shoots really good, and it shoots the 7.33 JSBs absolutely fantastic. And I am fixing to try to get that thing sighted in at 150, maybe 160 yards. Yeah, I said 160 yards. Right now it's sighted in and shooting really good, just a little bit to the left, but shooting really good at 125 yards. That's why the elevation on the rear diopter sight. So the current world record for an airgun shot is with a PCP, and it's 150 yards. So I'm going for it with this one. I'm going to try to get 160. I'm at 125 now, and it's grouping well and doing good. So I'm going to go for it with that one. And this is my HW97K. Picked this one up used. Just mounted this scope on it. That is a Vector Optics Sentinel. That is a 10-40 by 50 30mm tube. I've got these West Hunter scope mounts on it. See, the back one's a little higher than the front one. See the gap in it right there? The front one's a little bit tight. I've got quite a few MOA adjusted into this scope. And the mounts are really high. And this is going to be my 12 foot-pound World Field Target piston gun. I'm gonna give that a shot. So that one's tuned. That one has made some really good groups at 100 yards, shooting a 7.33 grain pellet. That has made some really good groups. And I got high hopes for the scope. I'm waiting on my wheel for that one. But I got high hopes for that scope, that it ranges well. So far, so good. What I've seen with it so far, it looks really good. And here is my HW77 long. I got that one used also. This one also has the Vector Optics scope with the honeycomb sunshade on it, which is really nice if you don't like the really long sunshade sticking out of the front of the gun. That thing's really nice. You'll also notice these things are way up in the air. All right, you don't have to have it that way, but if you're one of those guys that likes your scope to be right down on top of the barrel, this isn't a scope to put on your HW or any other underlever gun with a breech like this, because you can't put a pellet in it very easily. So this one has got the round wheel on it. The other one is going to have a Nautilus wheel on it. And this one's also tuned. They're both in the ballpark of 10.6 foot-pounds and shoot really well. And this one has got the BKL rings on it with the BKL riser. The problem is this one has no MOA with that riser, so I don't know how far, you know, like how many clicks it's going to take to get me on at 10 yards. I might have to change the mounts out to get a few MOA in there, because this is eighth MOA, 1/8 clicks, whatever. Anyway, that one may not adjust at 10 yards. I'm sure it'll do great at, you know, 50 yards or plus, but needed to do really well at 10 yards. And then we have my Challenger Pro 30 caliber with the can that I made myself. And this thing is a beast. This is 120 foot-pounds, regulated right out of the box with JSB 50.15 grain pellets. And they said it was going to be 120 foot-pounds, and it is. It wasn't. They weren't lying. This thing's whistling those things out there at like 1,050 plus feet per second. A 50.1 grain at 1,050 plus. And I put one of my backup pistol scopes on here, the Aeon 3-12. I use these for my pistol. It's on that gun right there, and my son's over there. These range really, really well, and have a pretty good reticle in them for field target. This is one I was telling you about that had the hair pulling stock on it, so I took the stock off of my Armada and put on here. And then my custom made, that is actually part of the factory shroud for a silencer. The little silver band is a barrel tensioner that actually pulls on the barrel and pushes on the shroud like I showed you the other gun did. I made this one. This is the first 25 caliber Umarex Origin, and it's regulated, bottled. I don't know how many shots it gets. It'll get better than 40 shots at 70 foot-pounds of energy. So this one's got a little kick to it when you shoot it. Anyway, this is what I was telling you about. It's got the 25 caliber single shot tray in it. I had to remind myself of the other guns because they look alike, but I have to put a tag on those to tell me that it's a 22 and not a 25, because the 25 barrel is in this gun and the probe. But that one's a beast and shoots really well. Again, a tension barrel. It's got a hint of the factory barrel band on it, but it's way back in the back of it. And that gun is really, really solid. It's really hard to move the barrel on it. It's not flimsy like the factory setups are on the Avenger and the Origin. And this one is another Origin. This one's still factory 22 caliber, but I have went against the grain with this one and removed the EPS system. Took that little brass valve out of it, set it on the bench. So this one shoots just like any other unregulated gun. It doesn't have that little brass valve. A lot of controversy about what that thing does. It regulates nothing. It doesn't do anything for regulating. It simply goes down to the end of the tube when you run out of air and plugs the hole so you can't use any more air in the tube. That keeps your pressure in this upper part of the tube from getting below, say, 1,000, 1,100 psi or more. It keeps the pressure up so that when you start pumping and it starts to move that valve, it's already at 1,000. Anyway, a lot of controversy on that, but I took it out of this one. This one is bound to be a 30 caliber, not a 25. I'm gonna put a 30 caliber barrel in this one. What's holding me up is I'm gonna have to make the probe. I'll have to do some tooling in the lathe and make a probe for it. But that's going to be a 30 caliber Origin. And it's also going to have a bottle on it, regulator. And I've got my plain Jane old Umarex gauntlets. I think I have a pretty fair mix of PCPs. But this is my factory Umarex gauntlet. And I think this one is... can't remember what this one is. 177. That one shoots pretty good. And this one, I was playing around and put a 4,500 psi carbon fiber bottle on it with a little different regulator. Since they just unscrew and change, it's, you know, why not? But this one's 22 caliber. And this one shoots really good. As a matter of fact, the no-name scope on top of my mini fridge over there that I was showing you, that scope came on this gun, sighted in and ready to go. Right out of the box. another gun broker find. And this is my first Umarex Fusion, the single shot one. And this gun shoots really good, but I've hot rodded the other one a little bit. This one, all I've done to this is all factory, except for I put a QB78 bulk fill cap, and this is out of a Benjamin Maximus, the 2 pistol builds that I've got. This is out of them. So this is bulk fill CO2, or you can tether it and shoot it with a regulated PCP bottle. But this is bulk fill CO2 now. That gun shoots really good. I've left that one alone because I made this Umarex Fusion 2 go from 7.25 foot-pounds to 14 foot-pounds. Double the power. Put a Gauntlet bottle on it. I think that Gauntlet bottle actually goes on that gun. But I put a Gauntlet bottle on it. Made an adapter, used a Archer Airguns bottle block, and made the silver part of the adapter. It goes all the way down and screws in where the CO2 would normally screw in, because these were 88 gram CO2, or you could get an adapter that would use dual CO2s. But this one will never go back to CO2 again, because some changes I made inside the valve where the piercing system is, and some stuff that I bored out and hogged out and done everything else to. So that one will never go back to CO2. That'll always be a PCP now. But that thing shoots really good, and I've done some trigger work on it and got the trigger to work a little bit better. What I want to show you is this is the magazine for the Fusion 2. Does that look familiar? Yeah, that is the exact same magazine that the Sentry takes. So I'm gonna say those are made in the same factory. I don't think Umarex had much to do with it other than telling them to make me one of those. And my little QB78, that one shoots pretty good. I've been having some issues with it though. The trigger doesn't always catch the bolt when you cock the gun. It doesn't always catch. There's something going on inside the trigger I need to spend some time and look at. And here's one I keep around for giggles. There's a Webley Value Max. Now that's made by made in Turkey, so I'm guessing it's made by Hatson. And that moderator on the end sure looks like one of the other Hatsons. I don't know if a 95 or something, but that's got a lot of power for a 177. It's got a crappy trigger. It kicks like a mule. Has a lousy shot cycle. When it does hit what you're aiming at, it hits it with authority. But I keep that one around to shoot that one once in a while to remind me just how good I've got it with the other guns that I've gotten. Not much to look at in the pistol rack, I've already showed you, but I do have a little Smith & Wesson 78G, and I got one of these Gammo compacts. I don't know what the hell they call it a compact for. That is a large handful of pistol right there, but it's a pretty much like a Beeman P17 or an HW, the overlever, not the piston gun, but the overlever, the single stroke pneumatic. Got that. There's an RWS Diana 5G, not the Magnum, just the standard power. That thing shoots incredible for what it is. It shoots really, really good. Got a couple of these old Crosman 38 CO2 pistols. These were famous because at one time they were using these for police training, I guess, in police academies. They were giving these to the police officers for training before they put a firearm in their hand. There's another one. And this is my RWS 6M. And this one's kind of neat. It's a brake barrel. But anytime you see a little knob on an RWS, that little round knob, that means it's recoilless. So when you break the barrel and load a pellet and put it back up, when you shoot this thing, it makes noise, but it doesn't kick. It has no movement at all. It has dual pistons in it. That the front piston is actually the one that does the work. The piston in the rear shoots the other way as a counterweight to counteract the front piston moving. So that's kind of neat. And then, like I said, oh, here's another one that you'll think is neat. This thing, I guess this is a Russian made. I don't have the rest of it out here right now, but it has a little sleeve that slides over the front of the barrel. Makes it look like a rifle. And if you unscrew this knob right here, the grip comes off of it, and a shoulder stock goes on this thing. And the shoulder stock has this cool mirror that you look into, and it's like a periscope. You look in the mirror way up here, and the mirror looks down to another mirror, and you literally hold it like a rifle, but with your head way up high, and you're actually looking over the factory sights with the mirror, but your head's way up here. Anyway, those are neat. That's CO2 powered, multi-shot, little rotary magazine. And just crazy paintball guns I keep finding here and there and bring home and see if they work. So one up there on top of the radio. I think all these are semi-automatic. Yeah, bunches of crap. Anyway, that is a tour of the gun room. If you guys aren't keeping up with me, you're slacking. Go buy some guns and see what you can do with them. Bye for now.